Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to heal the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, flashing back, we see Ellen teaching Pharma about the importance of the Holy Kingdom. Ellen states that the Holy Kingdom is the center of the world, as all rulers and nobles were given their status by the priest of the kingdom. Additionally, there is a group called the Office of Inquisition, a select group of priests, assigned by the Holy Kingdom, to eradicate, investigate, and rid the world of irregularities. Back in the present, Pharma realizes he's in the presence of the leader of the Office of Inquisitions, Solomon. Mocking Pharma for allowing himself to be led so far out of his comfort zone, Solomon presses Pharma for his true identity. Stating that he is no evil spirit, Pharma is instructed to back away from Solomon, which he does, so as to not cause conflict. Suddenly, Pharma is encased by a cage, meant to trap evil spirits, but the robed figures realize that the cage doesn't work on Pharma, meaning he's not an evil spirit. Refusing to believe so, several men begin circling Pharma, with one of them unleashing a fire spell in his direction. Projecting an air barrier, Pharma strips the fire of air, completely deleting the fire, making the robed figures believe the Pharma has a negative fire attribute. Following up, someone shoots ice spears at Pharma, but once again, using science, Pharma deletes the ice magic, telling them that he wants no trouble. Seeing Pharma's mysterious power, Solomon commands everyone to kill Pharma, as he's too dangerous to keep alive. Unleashing an earth, water, fire and air spell simultaneously, they all converge on Pharma's location. Hoping to see Pharma dead, they realize that Pharma has encased himself in a dome of ice, now pissed that he has to resort to violence. Releasing a shockwave, Pharma knocks all the men off their horses, whilst beginning to build up huge amounts of divine energy. Seeing Pharma's panictheos mark glowing, divine energy surrounding him, and his shadowless body, the leader Solomon realizes that they are in the presence of panictheos himself, which is news to Pharma. Immediately all bowing their heads, they ask that Pharma forgive them, as they have attacked a deity, who they all worship. Attempting to offer up his life to atone his sins, Pharma stops Solomon from taking his own life, yelling that he doesn't want anyone to get hurt, and all he wants is to run his pharmacy in peace. Using his eye on Solomon, Pharma notices Solomon's beat-up leg, having fallen off his horse. Knowing that cutting off his leg will only ensure Solomon's death, Pharma realizes that he'll have to perform surgery to remove a section of Solomon's leg. Knowing that he's inexperienced, Pharma holds strong, knowing that the longer he waits, the more likely Solomon will die. Creating a temporary hut to operate in, Pharma explains to Solomon about what he's going to do, asking for his permission. Thinking for a bit, Solomon gives Pharma permission to operate on his body, as he has full faith in Pharma, someone blessed by a deity. Injecting Solomon with some anesthesia, and then operating on Solomon's leg, Pharma notes how he's never performed such an operation on a human before, and only has done them on animals. With the operation complete, Pharma reports to the others the good news, and asks that they keep everything that happened between them, which they all agree to, as a carriage arrives to take Solomon to a safer place. Several months later, Solomon visits Pharma, bringing gifts, and revealing that he has left the Inquisitor group, and instead has climbed the ranks, to become a head bishop. Happy to hear that, Pharma learns that Solomon has removed any suspicions surrounding Pharma's name, and moving forward, will make sure that nothing ever affects Pharma, putting on a frightening smile. Asking to speak privately with Pharma, Solomon gifts Pharma a wand, a treasure held in the Holy Kingdom, named the Panic Robdos. The wand can handle all 4 elements, able to amplify healing, and can be collapsed to make it more easy to carry around. Wondering why Solomon would give such a valuable item, Pharma fears that the item will get stolen, but Solomon asks that Pharma first pick it up. Touching the wand, Pharma watches as the wand glows a bright white, signaling that the wand has accepted Pharma as its master. Wanting to feel the wand for herself, Ellen attempts to hold it, but is shocked when the wand falls right through Ellen's palms. Solomon explains that the wand is not of this world, and that only deities outside of this world can actually wield it. Realizing something, Pharma tests a theory, amazed that he can ride the wand, as the wand can levitate. Thanking Solomon for the gifts, Solomon hands Pharma a talismans, able to suppress Pharma's divine power, and give the illusion of a shadow to Pharma. As Solomon heads off, Pharma goes shopping with Blanche and Lot, who have been waiting for him. As they walk around town, stocking up on fruit, Pharma overhears a conversation of a customer talking about visiting a pharmacy, asking if they sell items that Pharma's pharmacy sells. Replying no, the pharmacist Mr. Pierre states that since Pharma's guild is a new one, they are suspicious of his dirt cheap prices. Additionally, as a member of Verone's pharmacist guild, Pierre reveals that he's unable to go against the wishes of Verone, as Verone's guild is the only guild commoners like him can turn to, restricting what he can and can't sell. Hearing this, Pharma chats with his employees, wishing to start a guild of his own, hoping to help out other pharmacies' growing customers, along with spreading the new medicine they create. As they dive deep into the logistics of things, they begin making prep for the paperwork to make their guild official. That night, Mr. Pierre is seen worried about his daughter, who is very ill, wondering what he can possibly do to save his little girl's health. Following Verone and the members of his guild, they are seen mocking Pharma and his pharmacy, as he's drawing in more customers due to his low prices. Additionally, they all hate a noble like him, as they accuse him of using magic, along with money from his father, to repair his pharmacy, when it was destroyed by the horse-drawn carriage. With everyone in the guild knowing it was Verone who caused the damage to Pharma's pharmacy, Verone silences everyone, ending the meeting by forbidding anyone to make contact with Pharma, threatening to revoke their membership in his guild. Knocking on the door of a doctor, Mr. Pierre is seen calling out in desperation, as his daughter, Marie, has fallen ill, unsure of how to save her. Suddenly Pharma speaks up, informing Pierre that the doctor is out today, offering to cure his child instead. Knowing that he was forbidden to interact with Pharma, Pierre knows that Marie's life is on the line, so he accepts Pharma's generous offer. Guided to Pharma's pharmacy, Pierre is led into the back of the building, making him believe that commoners are only allowed through the back of the pharmacy. Asking for Pierre to set Marie down, Pharma hands Pierre a mask, stating that it'll help avoid infections of Marie's illness. This makes Pierre realize that he wasn't asked to enter through the back because of his commoner status, but because Pharma didn't want to infect anyone else. Next, Pharma begins taking down the young girl's history, asking about her age and meals, which impresses Pierre, as Pharma is going into such detail for a commoner like them. Next, Pharma asks about the girl's weight, which Pierre claims that it may have fluctuated, leading Pharma to show off his scale. As Pierre is instructed to step on the scale, both with and without Marie, Pierre learns that Pharma needs the weight of the girl, in order to assign an appropriate dosage of medicine. This is unheard of, as most people just give children half the dosage for an adult. Showing off his all-seeing eye, Pharma concludes that Marie simply has a severe cold. Refusing to believe Marie only has the common cold, Pharma adds that Marie has a deadly form of the cold, offering up a solution. Bringing out some medicine, Pharma states that Marie must inhale and not swallow the medicine, as the medicine will not work if it gets swallowed. Seeing Pierre's worried look, Pharma begins to explain how Marie's fever isn't a bad sign, as her body is using the heat to fight off the illness, but Pharma will still give her something to lower her body's fever. Giving Pierre some further instructions, Pharma walks Pierre and Marie to the exit, as it's already nighttime. Amazed at Marie's speedy recovery, Pierre is told to speak to the guard outside if her fever suddenly spikes up again. So grateful for the help, Pierre asks how much it'll cost for the checkup, but Pharma states to forget about it, as these checkups are purposely low, to help with children like Marie. That night, as Pierre's wife puts Marie to sleep, Pierre and his wife chat, with Pierre revealing that he had broken the guild's orders and made contact with Pharma, but there was no other option, and his daughter's life means everything. Seeing Pharma's operations, and the way he handles himself, Pierre yearns to learn from him, but he knows that thought is nothing but a dream, breaking down, as he feels helpless to cure his own family, even though he's spent his entire life devoting all the time he has to learn about medicine. The next day, Verone has called for another meeting, with members all reporting that they're losing customers day by day. With Verone asking for Pierre's opinion, Pierre decides to speak his mind. Asking if anyone here has actually entered or visited Pharma's pharmacy, Pierre states that he knows Pharma's methods are far superior to theirs, using his daughter as an example. Cutting in, Verone refuses to believe so, accusing Pharma of using underhanded tricks, and that all nobles are selfish creatures, and Pharma is no exception. Referencing his own experiences, Verone was in a similar position to Pierre, having a child that needed treatment, but since the noble's medicine was so expensive, he was helpless, even burying his own child. Now seeing Pharma take everyone, Verone fears that Pharma will draw everyone in with his low prices, making everyone rely on him, and then raise the prices, or even worse disappear entirely. Refusing to back down, Pierre states that it's because they fear Pharma will leave them, that they should make it their goal to learn from him, making sure that even if he leaves, there are other options. Looking around the room, Pierre gets others to admit that their knowledge of medicine is not proven, with most cases of curing patients being flukes. Before Pierre can continue, he's cut off by Verone, who officially revokes his membership in his guild. Right after, Pierre is seen broken, as his pharmacy has been completely torn apart, with everything in it smashed. Just then, Pharma rushes to the scene, asking about what happened, and learning that Pierre is no longer part of a guild. Since he's a commoner, Pierre is required to be in a guild, to open a pharmacy, and since Verone's guild is the only one that exists, Pierre can no longer provide for his family. Seeing Pierre's unfortunate circumstances, Pharma reasons it's the best time to tell Pierre that he has received permission by the Queen to establish his own guild, the Compound Pharmacy Guild, recruiting Pierre as an official member. With some help from Pharma's connections, Pierre has rebuilt his pharmacy, nervous about the open day, as people may not show up. With some encouragement from Marie, Pierre officially opens his doors to customers, breaking down into tears, as he lays eyes on the swarm of customers, ready to explore Pierre's pharmacy. Deep in an isolated church, several priests and a head pope restrain a mysterious man, placing him in a bind, and allowing Bruno to interrogate the mysterious man. Revealing his name as Camus, Bruno questions Camus on turning rogue, even though Camus has the potential to heal millions. With a psychotic grin, Camus states that no matter how many he heals, just as many will die, but for those who die, just as many will be reborn and replace the ones lost. Hearing such a disturbing thing, Bruno demands to know if that is the reason Camus had conducted so many human experiments, but before he can receive an answer, Bruno awakens from his flashback, clearly plagued by this past memory. The next day, Pharma wonders why his father is zoning out, but Bruno reasons that it would be best to not tell Pharma. Suddenly, a letter arrives from Pal, Pharma's older brother, who plans to visit soon. Sadly, he is quite busy, as he is a student at the Vauvelout College of Medicine, the world's best medical research institution, making Pal and Pharma both geniuses of the family. Reading the letter, Bruno asks to have a private chat with Pharma in his office. Reminding Pharma that next month, there will be the Saint Fleuve Fair, a large-scale sale event, where various goods will be sold, from merchants all around the world, gathering in the Imperial City. Because of the large-scale gathering, Bruno orders Pharma to be careful, as the letter Pal has sent states that there is a strange epidemic that broke out in the nearby country, where thousands of merchants have mysteriously died. Wondering if the merchants were poisoned, Pharma sadly learns that Bruno doesn't know much, except for the fact that the surviving merchants of the epidemic plan to visit the sale event, meaning that there is a chance of them carrying the disease with them. Wondering if there has been any research done on the disease, Pharma learns that the people that studied the disease have died, and them along with any research equipment, have been incinerated with fire, to kill off the disease for good. Although Pharma agrees this was the best decision, Pharma also realizes that the world's top doctors basically decided that the disease was incurable. In the letter specifically, Pal is seen describing the men that worked on researching this mysterious disease, with the first man exhibiting basic symptoms like headaches and fevers. But several days later, fell into a coma and passed away within 7 days. The second researcher's body flat out began turning black, as if the disease was eating away at him, whilst he was still alive. Due to this, their bodies were burnt, research was halted. Hearing the symptoms, Pharma is reminded of something horrific, asking that his father get Pal to send over all of his research immediately. Elsewhere, the Queen, and several other officials, discuss how Pharma's parallel world pharmacy has helped out the citizens drastically, with the rate of human deaths this year decreasing by 20%. The meeting concludes with everyone acknowledging Pharma's greatness, and the Queen silently thinking about how she can ensure that Pharma has a bright future. Back with Pharma, he's seen chatting with Ellen, filling her in on the upcoming merchant gathering, and wondering if there is a way to stop the possibly infected merchants from using their port as a means to enter the country. Before Ellen can offer up a solution, Lot interrupts, bringing a message from Pal. Reading the message, Pharma confirms his suspicions, which prompts him to act immediately. Informing some helpers, on the proper steps to check and isolate the infected merchants, Pharma and Ellen head off to visit Bruno. With all the evidence he's gathered, along with his past life's knowledge, Pharma concludes that the unknown disease is the same as the Black Death. The Black Death is a disease transmitted through fleas and rodents, with the death rate being upwards of 50%, and if any Black Death were to mutate, it would surely wipe out 100% of the population. Having also suspected the Black Death to be the cause of the deaths of the merchants, Bruno learns that Pharma has already placed countermeasures to stop the disease from spreading, but Bruno is still terrified of the dangers if the disease reaches the capital. Having already anticipated Bruno's worries, Pharma reveals that he has already designed a medicine to counteract the disease, even going as far to begin mass production of the medicine, but he knows that he doesn't have the necessary resources to create a huge amount. Hearing this, Bruno immediately takes Pharma to the Queen, knowing she'll have access to tons of resources. Upon filling Elizabeth in on the discovery of the Black Death, Elizabeth is instructed to have all the merchants entering her country be isolated and tested for any symptoms. As for the citizens, they are to exterminate any rodents or fleas that may carry the disease, but should also boil their clothes, as to ensure that the disease doesn't live long enough, as to be spread around by humans. Seeing Pharma so assertive, Elizabeth has nothing but respect for Pharma, going as far as to put 100% of her trust in the little boy. Heading back to his pharmacy, Pharma greets Mr. Pierre, who learns of Pharma's mysterious microscope device, meant to help with observing disease, without getting too close to them. Asking about preparations on his medicine, Mr. Pierre shows off the doses of medicine, all packaged and ready to be given to the sick, free of charge. Knowing that the disease may become airborne, Pharma tells Pierre to hand out the medicine to anyone with symptoms immediately, as it is better to be safe. Just like that, Pharma leaves the operations in the capital, to Mr. Pierre's. Cutting to the Queen, she receives information on the state of the disease, impressed that Pharma's decisions have made it so there have been no issues so far. As Ellen and Pharma make their way to other locations, Pharma grows nervous, as he doesn't know if he'll be able to continue to help everyone, if something unorthodox were to happen. But Ellen reminds Pharma how many people he's helped already, and that he'll be able to overcome any challenge he faces. As Lot and Cedric wish Ellen and Pharma the best, we cut to Camus, who has torn his way through a church, finally free from his shackles, and ready to enact his revenge. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.